All right, time now for Ask the Expert here on CTV Morning Live, where we bring the experts to you and you get to ask them questions right here, live on the air. You can send us an email, ottawa.morning@ctv.ca with your question, or phone it in, 613-789-6559, extension 2803. Today we have Brenda Hollingsworth from Auger Hollingsworth joining us to answer your questions and talk about something very exciting, her new book on personal injury claims. Brenda, good morning, and first of all, congratulations on the book.
Thank you very much. It is pretty exciting. Richard, my partner and husband, Richard Auger, and I started working on this in October 2020, so I guess it was our pandemic project, and it was released on Monday.
What made you want to put experiences and knowledge into a book?
Well, for one thing, we do answer the same question over and over and over again, and it is clear that many people in Ontario don't really know their rights, don't know how to start if they're injured. So we wanted to put everything in a book so that people who want to learn before they call a lawyer and feel more confident calling a lawyer can do that. We're also this month, February will be Richard and my 25th anniversary of being lawyers. So we wanted to do something to honor that too.
Congratulations. You've been with us here on CTV Morning Live for many, many years, sharing your knowledge.
Yeah, at least half that.
Yeah, exactly. And sharing your wealth of knowledge and expertise with our community. And we've always had such great questions. You know, personal injury victims often have questions that, like you said, sometimes are the same questions, but until you're in a scenario where you need a lawyer and you may have faced that question, you wouldn't otherwise have the answer. And that's where you come in, and you have many times for our viewers. So would you categorize the book as a bit of a play-by-play for victims of personal injury?
Yeah, we call it a roadmap, but play-by-play. Playbook was actually the other title we were thinking about. So it is sort of walks you through from the beginning to the end of a case. We've included some anecdotes, real anecdotes, changed names, but the stories are real in there, and sort of what happened for them and what we did and how it turned out. I think it's a pretty light read in a sense. It's not meant for lawyers. It's meant for regular folks who have questions, and takes you from I've had an accident to I've got a check.
Yeah. Is it the kind of book you have to wait for an injury to read, or is it something that's good to read just to arm yourself with that knowledge?
Yeah, I think a lot of people would benefit from knowing what their rights are, because there is one thing that I know for sure is that most Ontarians don't know what their rights are or what to do if they or a loved one have any kind of accident, really. I mean, we talk a lot about car accidents, but in our city, lots of people are injured through slip and falls, either because of the weather or because of the condition of property. So really knowing in advance would be quite helpful for lots of people. The other thing is if you're in healthcare and you encounter injured people, we really think this book will be helpful for that population so that they have a better sense of kind of the big picture.
Where can people get this book, Brenda?
Well, soon it will be available anywhere. Right now, the best place to get it is Indigo, online. There are, like everybody else, there are supply chain issues, so it's not quite in the stores yet, but it's available Indigo online. It will be available on Amazon any day now. They are just checking that we actually wrote the book ourselves, and so they're checking into the copyright. It should be up in the next day or two on Amazon as well.
All right. Very exciting. We're opening this up, this segment, so if anyone has any questions for Brenda, certainly send them to us. But I want to ask you, when we come back, 25 years of experience, you've got to have some stories to share, stuff that, you know, might sound quite remarkable. And we're back with Ask the Expert, and we are talking about, personal injuries. And Brenda Hollingsworth, who is no stranger to this show, her new book that is out. And if you have any questions for her, certainly let us know. Ottawa.morning@ctv.ca. All the information there on your screen for sending us those questions. We do get a lot of them at this time of year, Brenda, because in this kind of weather, you know, we got a lot, like you said, slip and falls, car accidents. But I want to talk a little bit about your career. Over 25 years a personal injury lawyer. you and your partner and husband, well-known names, household names in this city. Tell us about a case that you'll never forget about.
Yeah, well, so one thing I was thinking on the break, one thing about personal injury stories is they're not usually funny, right? So,
Right.
I wish I had funny stories to share, but I don't. But I do have some real inspirational stories. One of the things that we do see is people basically the worst time of their lives, emerging into sort of making the best of it in a way that continues to inspire us. So one client that is very near and dear to my heart is someone who actually suffered quite a severe spinal cord injury when he struck an animal on a highway, and so it was a situation where there was no one to sue. So he only had his no-fault benefits that we talk about a lot on the show, the accident benefits, and we were able to secure quite a good settlement for him in the circumstances. And his goal in life, so he had an accident that rendered him quadriplegic. His goal in life was to be able to drive. And he had something like 17 vintage cars, and he just wanted to be able to drive. And with the funding that he got, one of the things that he treated himself to was very specialized driving lessons, and he was able to get back in the community driving with very limited use of his arms and no use below that. So that was a story that continues to inspire me.
Well, I can see why, because I mean, what your line of work is, I mean, it comes down to a lot of times being able to help someone's quality of life after a catastrophic injury.
That is exactly what it is. You know, we have another guy who comes to mind, was a passenger in a vehicle that ran into the side of a building and burst into flames. It was a new father, like a brand new father when this happened, and really had worked with his hands, wasn't ever going to be able to go back to a job like that. And working with him, he ended up graduating from college and going on to have a meaningful life and a couple of children and a happy marriage. And really, if he hadn't had his settlement, I don't know what would have happened. You know, if he hadn't come to us. It's hard to know how his life would have turned out, because it was one of the most serious injuries I've come across. And so stories like that, make us feel good about what we do.
Yeah, because I mean, at the end of the day, you see people on sometimes their hardest day. They're going through the hardest thing, and you fight for them at the end of it.
Yeah, no, I mean, I've been with families at the hospital when they found out that their loved one will never walk again. You know, those things don't happen during COVID. I don't get to go to the hospital, but there are real moments that kind of make you realize how precious life is. And when I talk about safety, sometimes I go on about, oh, don't do these left turns and don't do this and don't do that. There's a reason, because I have seen what a small, relatively innocent mistake can do to somebody's life, and not just their life, their family's lives too. So, we all have to be safe out there.
Welcome back to Ask the Expert. There's all the information on your screen for how you can get a hold of Brenda Hollingsworth. Her email, info@ottawalawfirm.ca, and all the information, including their local addresses, right there for you. We're talking about your book today, Brenda, but we have some questions coming in. We've got Sandra writing in. She asks, have you ever worked on a personal injury claim that was based on mental health or mental anguish?
Yes, so some cases, many cases are a combination of physical injuries and, psychological injuries or mental health injuries. Somebody will have had a serious accident and end up with PTSD on top of physical injuries. But we have also had many successful cases, including seven-figure cases, so million-dollar cases, where the primary injury is PTSD or an anxiety depression combination. We've also had a number of cases where somebody has a head injury, so something that is beyond sort of a run-of-the-mill concussion that has developed into a combination of cognitive issues and psychological issues. So that happens quite often. And then the other category, very sad category, is when somebody loses a family member and we represent them to get compensation for that. There's often a big piece for the mental anguish that goes along with that, as you might imagine.
Yeah, of course. Sandra, thank you for the question. Let's go back to what I said there right before the commercial. The words, "I'll see you in court," heard more in Hollywood movies than in reality, Brenda. Explain that one to us, how most of the claims are settled out of a courtroom.
Yeah, that's right. I have never uttered the words "I'll see you in court" in a real life context. About more than 95%, probably closer to 97, 98% of personal injury cases settle out of court. There are trials. I had a trial in October. Right now I'm scheduled to have a trial in April and May. So trials get scheduled. Sometimes they happen, but most of the time cases settle. And they can settle at a variety of different points in the lawsuit. Sometimes they settle as soon as we send a letter to the insurance company. If it's a pretty straightforward situation, it's clear who's at fault and it's clear what the injuries are. Sometimes we settle those quite early. Other times we need to have a mediation. Every case in Ontario goes through mediation, and there's a pretty good settlement rate there. It's not as high as it used to be. I would say it used to sort of push towards 70%. Now it's more kind of in the 50%. There's a pre-trial where a judge tries to help you settle the case. So there's lots and lots of opportunities to resolve cases that don't actually involve seeing anybody in court.
What's the one thing that you want people to take away when it comes to personal injury that they really should retain and know?
Yeah, so don't assume that you don't have a case. Don't assume how long you have to sue. Almost every personal injury lawyer in Ontario will offer you a free consultation. Have the consultation. It really, and we talk about this a lot in the book, the consultation is not a hard sell. People are afraid maybe that they're going to leave signing and they didn't mean to. That isn't going to happen. Find out what your rights are and then make a decision. Don't make a decision without knowing or researching American stuff on the internet. Speak to a lawyer for free. These are always free consultations, and then make up your mind.
The book, Road to Recovery, coming out soon, available on Indigo online at this point. We can get our hands on it to have more knowledge, and that is always something good to have in our back pocket. Brenda, congratulations on the book to you and your partner.
Thanks
25
so much.
years, and all the best. Thanks for your time today.
Thank you for having me.